Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is our introduction to Source for our community partners. Some of you have been long-standing partners that are here for a refresher, and some of you are at organizations that have been partners, and you might be new to learning a little bit about our center. So whether you're new or seasoned, we're just certainly glad that you're all here with us today. And we're going to spend some time going over some information about our center, and then, of course, we'll hopefully leave some time for questions at the end as well. So what we're going to cover today, we're going to give you a brief overview of our center and the approach that we utilize. We're going to introduce you to a number of our team members that are here today. We're going to talk about our network that we have through Source, the various services and opportunities that are available for our community partners. We're going to talk briefly about important Source communications to help you stay connected. We'll also share about your Source liaison and have a little bit of networking time as well. There's about a dozen community members that have signed up to join us today. Some of them are already here, some might be joining us late, and also some folks aren't able to be with us live. So we're recording the session. And of course, we've got a couple of our Source team members that are here today as well. So let me start out. My name is Mindy Levin. We'll do full team introductions momentarily. I'm the founder and director of Source, and Source is the Community Engagement and Service Learning Center. Our center serves all three of Johns Hopkins University graduate level health professional schools, which includes the schools of public health, nursing, and medicine. We're physically all located kind of side by side next to each other on the East Baltimore campus, right next to the Johns Hopkins Hospital. And I'm including our primary contact information on the screen here, our phone number, our general Source email, which is just source@jhu.edu, as well as our Source website, which we're also going to give you some links throughout the session today, source.jhu.edu. The mission of our center is to really engage those three health professional schools and Baltimore communities in mutually beneficial partnerships that promote health and social justice. And everything that we do through our center is guided by our core values, which include reciprocity, justice, service, and collaboration. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how these values and our work shows up in practice with our community-based organizations that we partner with throughout Baltimore City. So for our team, like I mentioned, there's a few of us that are here today. So I will actually call on folks to say a quick hello and share a little bit about their roles. On the photo that you see in front of you, I'm going to start with at the bottom left, which is Janae Johnson. Janae's here with us, is our Assistant Director for Academic Service Learning. Janae, you want to say hello?
Hi, good morning. My name is Janae Johnson, pronouns she, her, hers, and I serve as the Assistant Director for Academic Service Learning. I work with Tyler and Mindy on our Service Learning Academy, as well as with our other Assistant Director on our SSS program, and really excited to be here with you all today.
Awesome. Thanks, Janae. If we keep going kind of like around clockwise, Thomasina Watts is our program manager. I I don't think I'm seeing Thomasina on, just making sure because I'm like scrolling through our people. So Thomasina, she does a couple of programs as well, co-leads with me our Baltimore Action projects. She also leads our HIV counseling and testing program and is the key volunteer rep for the Johns Hopkins Health Education and Training Program, our HEAT Course program. Again, she's another great person that's on our team. I'm going to keep going around the circle. Ashley Good is with us today as our senior admin coordinator. Ashley?
Good morning, everyone. Yes, I am Ashley Good. I am our Senior Administrative Coordinator here at Source. I have my hands in a little bit of each one of our programs and behind the scenes helping to support Mindy in managing our daily operations, as well as our Teens Hopkins Engage support, which you may hear a little bit about on this call today.
Thanks, Ashley. Tyler Dareth is the next person on our list, our Associate Director. Tyler?
Thanks, Mindy. I just noticed Thomasina signing on, so if you get a chance to Thomasina, you can give a wave. My name is Tyler Dareth. I'm the Associate Director here at Source. I've been here for quite a few years now, and I work on our service learning focused work, running the Service Learning Academy, as well as supporting many of our courses, as well, and for you all, the projects that are linked with those courses. In addition to that, I help lead our research agenda.
Thanks, Tyler. Thomasine, I'll come back to you if you wanted to say hello to everybody on the call.
Good morning, all. My name is Thomasina. I'm Program Manager with Source. Happy to join you today.
Thanks, Thomasina. And then folks that are not on the call with us today, Azat Shahade is our Communications Associate, and Lydia Hickey is our Assistant Director. We also have other members of our team that are not pictured, which are some of our part-time folks. So Glenn Ross, some of you might know, he's a longtime community activist here in East Baltimore, and he's our community consultant. And Source, we also hire a number of student program assistants to join our team each year. So with some of our key programs, you as a community partner will likely be in touch with different students that support our programs. The other two entities that I want to quickly call out is that we have a Source governing board, which is made up of deans, faculty, staff, and students from all three of those Hopkins Health Professional Schools, public health, nursing, and medicine, that really help to guide our work, as well as our Source Community Council. So our Community Council is made up of approximately 15 representatives from our network of community-based organizations that serve with us on 3-year terms. And they do a lot of guidance and talking about different initiatives with us. We pilot a lot of programs with our community council. And this is definitely an opportunity for any member of our network of community-based organizations to join Source and be a part of the critical work that we do. I wanted to mention our Source network because it is really vast. So as I pointed out, we are physically located on the East Baltimore campus, right next to Johns Hopkins Hospital, and that's where our 3 graduate level health professional school sits: public health, nursing, and medicine. So the work that we do at Source is really working with graduate students, students that are working on a master's or a doctoral degree, and then of course our faculty, staff, and alums that are attached to those 3 health professional schools. Then we have our network of our partnering community-based organizations. We have partnerships with over 100 nonprofits throughout Baltimore City, and we certainly look at our community partners as subject matter experts, as co-educators. They're really critical to the work that we're doing. It's all in collaboration. While we are focused on these 3 health professional schools, and those are the folks that we are funded to serve in partnership with all of our community organizations, there are other Hopkins locations and other Hopkins centers and offices throughout the entire enterprise. So we are physically separate from the Homewood campus, which is really the undergraduate campus. There's other folks within the health system as well. So we do have a lot of connections, and sometimes our partners will reach out and really they need to be in touch with somebody else at Hopkins. And we do have connections that we can, certainly utilize our network to connect you all with. But really the focus here is that we are working with the graduate level health professional schools in East Baltimore as our primary focus. As I mentioned, we partner with over 100 community-based organizations. They are all in Baltimore City. So we are specifically focused on serving our communities here in our own backyard, if you would. And on our website, we also have our directory of community-based organizations. So literally every single one of your organizations has a page on our website. The directory is basically organized through various categories that folks can search. So whether there is a particular health topic, or if there are populations that students, faculty, or staff are really interested in working alongside, they can peruse our online directory. You could also peruse our online directory if you're looking to connect with other community-based organizations, or certainly reach out to us at Source, and we're happy to assist as well. The big thing to know about Source is that we have tons of different services and opportunities. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about how you can learn more about these opportunities. The real thing here is that we don't need you to memorize all of this. We want to give you a quick overview of the various opportunities so that way you can talk further with your Source liaison or another member of our team about a particular program. We are really here to help talk through what your interests are, what's on your wish list, what is on your priority list, and we can help identify where there would be a good match. So the types of things that we do is everything from one-time group projects, short-term projects. A lot of what we do is around internships, practicum, and field placements that really have specific projects that students work with you on that have final deliverables that they need to produce as a kind of a scholarly or academic product. The other great thing is that we have an opportunity to hire students through the Federal Work Study Program, where your organization would pay 25% of the student's salary, and the rest of their funding is covered through the federal government. At Source, as I mentioned before, when we hire program assistants, we hire through the Federal Work Study Program. And most of the time, we're spending about $2,000 for the entire academic year and have a student that works with us throughout the year for 8 hours a week that are really fantastic students. So it's a flexible and a more affordable way of hiring some folks to be involved ongoing. We have a couple of other paid opportunities that I'll talk through. There's also opportunities to have fully virtual or remote students or hybrid, where they're sometimes in person at your site and sometimes doing remote work. A lot of our bread and butter is around academic service learning courses. And the other thing to know about is that we have a ton of student groups on our campuses that are oftentimes looking to collaborate with community organizations. So we're often organizing different events, whether it's service or speakers and all those kind of things that you're certainly welcome to tap into. Okay, so what I'm going to share with you today, and I'm going to ask Ashley if you wouldn't mind dropping in the chat, and of course we'll follow up with these links afterwards as well. On our website, we have our Source Opportunities Guide. So this is always available to you online to learn a bit more about Source and all of our available opportunities. And what you're going to notice from our Opportunities Guide is that it is broken up into 6 sections. Another important note is that we actually created the Opportunities Guide with a number of our community partners years ago. So we've really brought this forward to have something that is a handy resource that you can touch at any time to learn about our different services. So the 6 categories include more background information about our center. We include our guiding principles for community engagement, our social justice commitments. You can learn more about our team, a whole lot of background about our center. Then we have services and resources that we offer to our partner and community-based organizations, which is all of you. Our opportunities timeline, so it's giving you a visual of when things are announced and when students will be working with you. We have a section on both one-time and short-term projects, another section on the more ongoing and long-term projects, and finally, there's a section on our service learning courses, and most of those are at our Bloomberg School of Public Health and the School of Nursing. There's some smaller options at the School of Medicine as well. So the Opportunities Guide is something that you can take a look at anytime. I'm going to talk a little bit about the sections that you'll see within the guide. So starting off with that second section on the services and resources for our partnering CBOs. So one thing to keep in mind is that every single one of our partnering nonprofits has one of us on our Source team as your designated Source liaison. That basically means that of the over 100 organizations, we've kind of divided it up amongst our team as to like who is the primary contact. So Janae, Thomasina, Ashley, myself, Tyler, keep going. We all have a subset of organizations that we're the primary liaison. So we tend to do direct outreach to just check in, see how things are going, see what kinds of opportunities that you have are available, as well as talk with you about how we can help match you with one of our offerings. So again, you're going to oftentimes talk with multiple folks on our team because different team members run different programs and events. So it is not unlikely that you're going to know multiple people on our team, and that's great. This just helps us kind of divide up the work so not one person is always answering all the questions that we have from our community partners. Some of you, when you signed up today, said, I'm not sure if I know who my Source liaison is, so we can make sure that you have that information. And again, that's a great way for you to connect. We have a number of professional development opportunities that we offer to our community partners as well. So a few of them just to highlight here is that we do have a Source online preceptor training module. So anytime that we have a community organization with a designated preceptor working with a student or a group of students on long-term projects, we actually require the preceptors to complete this online training. The online training was actually created with a number of preceptors, so we really do a lot of co-development to offer some of those critical perspectives. And that's an online training. When you complete that training, there's a little certificate of completion at the end. And we always tell people that your certificate is good for 3 years. And it's a great way to learn a little bit more about what it means to really work collaboratively with a graduate level student at our school. We have our Source Service Learning Academy. Both Janae and Tyler mentioned this in their intros. The three of us, with a number of different colleagues, oversee the Service Learning Academy. This is a program each year that we train a competitively selected cohort of faculty and community partners together in critical service learning pedagogy. What our faculty are trying to do is to develop new service learning courses or implement service learning into an existing course. And our community partners are learning right alongside those faculty members and helping to design projects at their organizations that our students and our faculty can collaborate with you on. We have a section a little bit later today to introduce you to just a few of those service learning courses to give you a little taste. And then I've already mentioned briefly the Source Community Council. Again, that is the leadership group of about 15 representatives from that network of over 100 organizations that we work with, that each of those members serve with us on a 3-year term. It's a great way to collaborate with other organizations and to really have some oversight and input into the work that we do through Source. Some other details that you'll find on this section include mutual expectations that we have of our partners. We do have a set of volunteer recruitment best practices to support our organizations. And then there's other Hopkins resources that are available. So oftentimes when our partners are reaching out to us about different items, and it might be an opportunity that's not available for through Source, but maybe through one of our other centers, institutes, or programs at Johns Hopkins. So they're listed here, and we'll also connect you to those other entities when that's appropriate. Let me move on to part 3, and this is a really small part, but this is our opportunities timeline. And each academic year, we introduce the timeline. So this is just, again, another helpful tool. It gives you a visual of when in the year we actually put out a call for proposals to our network of community partners. So it's when we're doing recruitment. So in the red lines, you'll see that is when we are typically doing the application period, when organizations are giving us their ideas for a particular program or service learning course. And then the blue lines tend to be when the project is happening, when the students are going to be collaborating with all of you. So it's organized by those short-term projects, then ongoing and long-term, and finally, the service learning courses that we're supporting in that academic year. There's always service learning courses that are added. There's some courses that are offered every other year. And it becomes a really great way for you to connect with students across our health professional schools. So this is just another handy tool that is more of a visual representation. The next section is all about our one-time and short-term projects. So these are really easy to explain because what we end up doing is hosting different ones of these events and activities throughout the year. So days of service. Source organizes a number of service days throughout the academic year. We run our own fall and spring tri-school day of service. So basically in early October and at some point in April, we do a Saturday day of service where we put out a call to all of our nonprofits to say, who needs a one-time group project? Usually the groups are about 14 volunteers per project because that's the number of people that fits on a van. But we also are organizing days of service for other centers, other departments at our schools. We just had last weekend our Masters of Public Health students, which is a summer, it starts in the summer. We had an MPH day of service, but we're oftentimes putting out calls for which of our organizations might have a need for a one-time opportunity. Some of them happen during the workday, and as I already mentioned, the other tri-school days of service that we organize tend to be on Saturdays. The next item is our donation drives. We organize 5 large-scale donation drives each academic year. And that means that we are collaborating with other departments on our campus as well as student groups to host donation drives. And when we have those donation drives, they're across all 3 of our schools with various collection bins. We just started our school supply drive. We'll do a food drive, winter essentials, a toiletries drive, and cleaning supplies drive. And with those drives, one of the things that we do is we collect all the supplies, and depending on how successful the drive is, we might be able to donate to multiple organizations. We're going to talk a little bit later about our opportunities checklist. That's a place where you can tell us if you're interested in receiving any of those donations. The other caveat that I'll mention here is that we serve over 100 organizations. That also means that we are kind of rotating who we give items to. So if we gave an organization items from our last drive, we're probably not going to give it to you for the next drive because we're trying to be equitable and rotate the items that we collect amongst the different organizations. So do let us know through your opportunities checklist if those types of donations are something that's of interest to you. Okay, the last 2 short-term items that I want to mention is that we do have a languages volunteer program. What that basically means is that we have a ton of students, faculty, and staff that speak, read, write languages other than English. So maybe they are proficient, or maybe their first language is another language, or they're an international student joining us from another country. Years ago, from our network of community organizations, we received a lot of language requests that we put together. I think the list is over 30 languages at this point of time, that we tell our students, faculty, and staff to please enter their information into our languages volunteer database. And so we will occasionally receive requests from our partners to say, hey, we're looking for somebody that speaks Spanish for this particular opportunity. The caveat that I have here for the languages volunteer program is that we do everything except for clinical and medical language interpretation, because you do need to be certified to be able to do clinical and medical translation. So some of the examples that we've had might be like, oh, we have this document that we really want it to get translated into another language. Or we've certainly had times where maybe a child was being enrolled in a program and the parent might not have had sufficient English, so they wanted to have somebody help translate during that orientation. So those tend to be one-time or short-term projects that we can send out to the people that are in our languages volunteer database to say, can you help us out with this particular language-based need? And the last item that I'll mention is our Connection Community Consultants Program. I do have another slide on this, but it's basically our short-term consulting program that we offer twice per academic year, once in the fall and once in the spring. And I'll share a little bit more about that as well. But it's a great way to have a small group of students. There's about 3 to 5 students per team that work with your organization on a short-term project. So the short-term projects that end up happening is things around strategic consulting, fundraising strategy, and grants. And what that often is for grants is helping an organization develop a grant template, or if you know that there's a grant that you want to apply for, that the students can help you apply for a particular grant. Those grants tend to be more of like local foundations, neighborhood association. They're not doing like CDC, NIH, like large scale federal grants, but there is that type of support that's available. So either it's helping to put together a grant template or working on a specific grant. Sometimes there's literature reviews that are involved with that. Students have also helped with performance measurement. So helping to put together an evaluation tool, some type of assessment that you could utilize. And then we've received a number of requests around communications consulting as well. Maybe it's doing some kind of campaign. We've helped with some social media, lots of different things that we can do through the connection. But again, these are specifically designed to be short term. They're about 6 to 8 weeks long in both the fall and the spring rounds, and we'll put out those calls for proposals throughout the year. Okay, Let me move on to the next section, which is our ongoing and long-term projects. I'm going to give you a little bit of information about some of these programs. Again, we're not going to tell you everything. That's where your source liaison, as well as diving further into our source opportunities guide, is really helpful. And some of these things are going to be more timely at different points in the year, depending on when we're putting out these calls for project proposals. So the first one is the Baltimore Community Practicum course. This is our next big upcoming deadline. We've been promoting this for well over a month now. I think we have maybe almost a 2-month window for the Baltimore Community Practicum course. And this is an academic course that I actually teach at the Bloomberg School of Public Health. So this is all graduate level public health students that work with organizations for 16 weeks. So what we're doing right now is looking for projects that your organizations would love a student to work on alongside of you. And you have the opportunity to submit a project proposal that's due by August 11th. A couple of things that I'll make a point of for the Baltimore Community Practicum course is that most of these graduate students that would work with you would work about 4 hours per week with your organization to work on the particular project. Some students will work up to 8 hours a week. So it's either 4 hours a week or 8 hours a week. And that's because it's a course. So it's the number of academic credits. So every 4 hours is a credit. And in that course, the students are learning about community engagement practices and values. They're learning a lot about the history here in Baltimore to really prepare them for doing that work locally. We do a lot of critical reflection, and there are certainly a number of questions that the students will go back and ask their partners about to help understand the context at your particular setting. The great thing about the Baltimore Community Practicum course is that the projects that you all might have an interest in working with a student on are not limited. This is not teaching one particular skill set. And so therefore, the students really have a wide opportunity to work with you on all different types of projects. I could say a lot more about the Baltimore Community Practicum course. Happy to connect with any of you because I am the person that runs that program. So if you're thinking about a project, I'm certainly happy to connect. The other couple things to make note of is that across our 3 schools, there are different academic program requirements. That basically means that there are things that students have to do in order to graduate, whether that's they need to complete a practicum or do some type of internship or field placement. The language or the titles of these things can be very different. However, they all typically have some type of hourly requirements, how many hours they need to fulfill, as well as having very specific deliverables. And what I mean by that is, what are those solid products or outcomes that they're producing and leaving behind with your organization? So it's not just I show up and do direct service every time I work. It's more along the lines of working towards a particular goal. Is it a report, an evaluation, a resource guide? There's a whole lot more that these opportunities can be, and we're happy to talk through that with all of you. The other couple things that I'll mention, I know I have a little bit more to share with you about those, is there's a community outreach program, or COP. We don't call it COP, we call it COP, at the School of Nursing. And this is a program we are able to hire about 20 students each academic year. The School of Nursing pays those students to work 4 hours a week with our organizations. The students are doing more direct service with your organization. One of the requirements is that they have direct interaction with your clients, your population, whoever you're working with. These are all non-clinical, so they are nursing students. They are not yet nurses. So therefore, oftentimes it's doing case management or some type of education, but they're not doing direct clinical work. We have our HIV counseling and testing program. That's the program that Thomasina Watts oversees. There are a number of community clinics that need support with HIV counseling and testing, and we help to recruit students that are then trained and certified through the Maryland state process, and then they commit to being regular volunteers at a participating clinic. So if any of your organizations are interested, now's the time to reach out because we are finalizing and getting ready for the 26-27 academic year. I will, in a later slide, mention both Source Service Scholars and Baltimore Action Projects. Both of those programs, we've already selected the community partner projects. The Source Service Scholars are going to be announced tomorrow, and our Baltimore Action projects right now, students are already applying for those positions, but these are opportunities for y'all to think about for the future. Okay, so these same programs that I'll mention here, I like to highlight because these are some of our few paid student service opportunities. So before I mentioned that we have federal work study positions, again, that's what Source utilizes for students that we hire as program assistants, but this is an opportunity that's also open to all of our community-based organizations. So if you all have some funding available, this is a great way to add into your grants or thinking about students being very part-time employees. Our graduate students tend to be able to work about 4 to 10 hours a week. Based on the standards, you'll see that they're allowed to work up to 19 hours a week. However, that is very, very unlikely because our grad students are on a quarter schedule. So they just tend to not have as much time to work that much based on their academic schedules. So the rule of thumb that we like to tell people is that most of our students are working about 4 to 10 hours a week, and you can determine how much you want a student to work. The students are paid anywhere from $18 to $22 an hour. And again, you're only paying 25% of that student salary. So for us at Source, for example, most of our program assistants, we're hiring them at $20 an hour. We're paying $5 an hour. And the rest of that funding is covered by the government. And again, we're getting phenomenal graduate level students that are working with us throughout the academic year. And in the end, it doesn't cost us more than $2,000, typically a little bit less than that. So let us know if you're interested in federal work study positions. We can help guide you through that process. I mentioned COP, the Community Outreach Program. Again, that's where we're having nursing students that are working directly with your organizations. They have to have some level of direct contact with your clients, with your population. Again, whether that's by phone, in person, most of these students are working in person. An important note, these are non-clinical opportunities. We are just starting now to finalize the projects for this upcoming academic year. So there is still time to get in on COP for this upcoming academic year. So we'll have you let us know through our opportunities checklist, and we'll share a little bit more about that. Source Service Scholars is another program. Janae and Lydia have been running that program together. Again, right now for this academic year, we're getting ready to finalize the selected students, but we recruit a graduate student to serve as a project manager with your organization. Those students that are selected are required to recruit at least 4 other volunteers to support the project. The students have regular check-ins with the organization, and then as a full cohort through the Source Service Scholar throughout the program. And again, with that Source Service Scholars program, the students are paid a stipend that comes through Source. Then finally, Baltimore Action Projects. That's the program that Thomasina and I run together. This is a partnership that we have with the Bloomberg American Health Initiative, which was a gift given to the Bloomberg School of Public Health from Bloomberg Philanthropies that focuses on 5 critical public health areas across the country. That's the Bloomberg American Health Initiative. And when that was first announced, we thought that was fantastic that the team was looking at these critical public health issues across the country. However, we also said, and we are in Baltimore, and we've got a fantastic network of organizations in Baltimore, and we've got tons of students in Baltimore. So right now, we've already selected our Baltimore Action projects for the 26-27 year. The students are applying for those projects right now, and what our organizations are able to do is help to select which student will work with them throughout the academic year. The students get paid a stipend, and there's an additional $500 project fund that goes directly to the organization to support the implementation of the project. So these are some paid opportunities that are available. For the federal work study, that is a cost to the organization. So any of you that would be interested, you'd be paying the student salary. But for COP, Source Service Scholars, and the Baltimore Action Projects, those are funding mechanisms that we have available through Source and or our partners like the Bloomberg American Health Initiative. All right, and the last section here is talking a little bit about the service learning courses that we support. So again, another plug for the Baltimore Community Practicum course. Again, it is a service learning course and it is a long-term course, and it is probably the most flexible of our courses in terms of the types of projects our students can work on. So I always encourage people, this is like one of the first courses of the year to get in your project proposals. I've already had a community-based organization information session a couple weeks back. We did record it. It's online, so I can provide that information to anybody that's interested, as well as glad to touch base with folks. I won't go over all of these, but the thing to note about all these different service learning courses, they run at different times in the academic year, and it's likely going to be Janae, Tyler, or myself that are working with the faculty members to support those service learning courses. And we'll put out a call for project proposals that tells you what the faculty members are teaching the students and what we're looking for from a community organization. To give just a couple of examples, the next bullet point on the slide is the qualitative research course series. This is one of the longer courses because it runs across multiple terms. The faculty are training students how to do qualitative research, which basically means focus groups, key informant interviews. And so your organization can think about, do you have some type of qualitative research project that could be answered by working with a small team of students on a project throughout the academic year? So this is a course that's going to run right up into early May each academic year. So we will, again, for each of these different service learning courses, we'll put out the calls for proposals. We'll give you examples of past projects that we've done with other community-based organizations. And oftentimes we'll have calls with the faculty that teach those courses as well. And as you can see from the list here, there's all different types of topics as well. So implied environmental health to formulating policy to stigma and public health. They really do focus on different areas. What you'll notice in this section of the online opportunities guide is that you can click and learn a little bit about each of the course. And oftentimes we have a little video that talks a little bit more about what that course looks like and what we've done with other organizations, but there's always a member of our team that can give you more details as well. I really encourage people to strongly consider the service learning courses because you're going to have either an individual student or a small team of students that are working with you and with the faculty member who's a subject matter expert to produce the final deliverables for that particular program. So they're getting extra guidance from the faculty and of course from you and or your team members that are focused on that particular service learning course. And we've had a lot of tremendous success that has come out of those service learning courses. All right, I am moving right along here. A couple more things that I want to point out before we open it up for some questions. I want to share with you a bit more about important source communications. So source emails. Hopefully all of you are receiving our source emails. These emails tend to come out towards the beginning of each week. They're typically on Mondays, sometimes on Tuesdays, and they're coming from our general source@jhu.edu email address. And it is the latest news and opportunities that we send out to all of our partner and community-based organizations. So please take a look at those source emails. You can certainly scan through and take a look at the different titles and learn a little bit more. We are always encouraging folks to read them or at least glance through because that is where we're announcing upcoming opportunities, events, how you can apply for things, professional development opportunities. And if you have something that you want us to share with our entire network of source community partners, we can also include those details in our regular source emails to our community partners. If there are other people at your organization that you want us to add to those source emails, just let us know. Send us an email at source@jhu.edu and let us know that individual's name, title, and email, and we'll add them because certainly more people can know about the work that we're doing. A few more communications I'll make note of. The Source Weekly Service Scoop is our weekly email that goes to our Hopkins folks. So what we tell our community partners is if you have something that you want to go into our Source Weekly Service Scoop, the deadline is always by Monday at 3 o'clock because then the scoop goes out on Tuesday. So if you can get something to us by Monday at 3, we'll put your item in our Tuesday scoop. If it's an upcoming event, we'll run it for a couple of weeks until your event goes by. So the more advance notice you get to us, the more that we can actually include it from week to week in that newsletter. And all you have to do is send an email to source@jhu.edu with the specifics. One of the things that we do ask in return is that if you have our folks from Hopkins reach out to support whatever that opportunity is, to let us know, to report back that you had a student, faculty, or staff sign up to work with you, because all of that reporting is really essential to our work. We had previously dropped in the chat that opportunities guide, the 6 sections that I kind of quickly walked you through. That is a really handy tool. I would ask you to, put a little bookmark on it so you can save it. That is a great way to continue to learn about our opportunities. And the other piece that's connected to our opportunities guide is that every summer we have our opportunities checklist. So this is something that's required for every organization in our network to complete each summer. And what you're basically doing with that checklist is letting us know which of those opportunities you might be interested in working with us that year. So it's really help us help you by letting us know your particular interests. And then when we are doing recruitment for the various activities, we reach out first to the organizations that express interest. And sometimes we have organizations that let us know early in the year that they're interested in a service learning course. Maybe that course isn't until March. And so by the time we reach out, you might say, oh, we're no longer interested, or we don't have capacity. That's fine. We just want you to let us know in advance if you might be interested, mainly because some of the opportunities that we have, for example, a service learning course, maybe they only have capacity to support 2 or 3 projects from community partners. So there are some things that might never go out in those weekly emails because we first started with organizations that expressed interest, and you might never see it in one of those emails. So again, please do complete that opportunities checklist. I believe they are due by next Tuesday, August the 4th. So please make sure that you're completing that checklist, and thank you to those that have already completed it. All right, a few more things to keep in mind. I mentioned earlier that every community-based organization partner in our source network does have a source liaison. So if you don't know who that is, let us know. We'll certainly connect you to your source liaison. And the things that we want you to think about is, if you are wondering, can source assist us with X, Y, and Z, fill in the blank, any item, you can reach out to your source liaison. They can have a conversation with you and figure out if there could be a match. One of the things that each of us do when we're regularly checking in with our community partners is really understanding, what are you focused on right now? What's the capacity of your organization? What are your priority items? What are those wish list items as well? And we are really glad to talk with you about those opportunities and help match you and say, oh, that would be really great for a connection short-term community consulting project. Or maybe we'll say that actually really aligns with this service learning course that's coming up. Maybe that's a great source service scholar project. We are able to help you get connected to the appropriate program. We have a lot of programs. We have a lot of opportunities. It can get confusing. Therefore, that's where we're here to be the people that you know and get to really understand the work that we do. The other thing that the liaisons can do, and we love to do, is that we will come and meet with your team. Whether you all are meeting in person or over Zoom or Teams, we are happy to chat and share a little bit more about the work that we do, and maybe brainstorm with your organization about the possibilities as well. So we are happy to do those types of presentations and conversations. Final few things that I'll mention relates to technology options that are available for our partnering CBOs. Some of you might have heard of Hopkins Engage. Hopkins Engage is the university's online community engagement platform. So we actually give all of our partnering community-based organizations a Hopkins Engage account, and you are able to put in your own volunteer opportunities or put your events in there or post your internships as well. And we have regular Monday and Friday Hopkins Engage open office hours. And there's a number of our partners that really love using Hopkins Engage, and they're posting their information, and people can sign up directly with them and run really easy reports. So let us know if you're interested in Hopkins Engage. I mentioned a little bit earlier in the presentation that we have our online directory of all of our partnering community-based organizations. as a part of that directory, we actually have an interactive community partner map. So that map, all of your organizations have a pinpoint on the map. And the map also has different layers of different categories where they can find the organizations. And many of your organizations have provided us with a short video, which gives a quick introduction to your organization. Some of your organizations, we don't have a video. If you have a video that exists or you want to make a video, we can add that to the map. This is a tool that our students, faculty, and staff have really grown to love because they can physically see where your organization is and not just read about your organization, but watch a really short, like 2 under 5 minute little video to introduce your organizations to our population. So it's a great tool to utilize. And again, some of our partners like to explore the map and read about the different organizations in our network. The other thing that we've introduced during this last academic year is that on LinkedIn, we actually created a private forum for any of our source community partners. So if you are interested in joining that forum, we encourage you to be a part of it. This is an opportunity to share opportunities amongst all these Baltimore nonprofits around networking, sharing resources, having real-time communication. It's not moderated. You just have to be a source community partner, and you can share this information back and forth with one another. We've been slowly growing that and really encouraging our folks to get in that community partners forum. We'll announce some of things in there as well. So again, let us know. It's always in our weekly emails to our CBOs as well. Okay, the final piece here is really staying connected to source. So again, our general email is source@jhu.edu. If you have any questions, please let us know. If you don't know who your liaison is, or if you want to connect with other folks, we're always happy to connect with you. Any questions that you have. We are on social media at JHU Source. We really do our best to follow all of our partnering community-based organizations. We will repost and reshare things for all of you. We like to be tagged and help to drum up business for everyone. So feel free to follow and connect on the various platforms on social media. I am going to stop sharing. I have done a ton of talking to kind of introduce you all to the work that we're doing. And what I'll ask folks to do is if you have any questions at this point, I think that if we're small enough, if people want to get off mute, or if you prefer to drop it in the chat, we're down with anything. Please let us know how we can answer questions for all of you. Ashley, thank you for dropping different links and info in the chat. Anybody have any questions that we can answer? Why, Jay?
Hi, thank you so much for such a informative presentation. I was actually a former master's student at Hopkins and work in Baltimore. So and then my bosses too. So we were really passionate about this. Would this presentation be available as recording or as a presentation itself?
Both. So we've recorded it, and once once we get it from Zoom, we'll share it out and happily share it with folks. And again, always happy to come to organizations and talk with team members. So for example, I am the source liaison for Baltimore City Health Department. I am
Mhm.
happy to meet with any teams at the health department.
Perfect.
So happy
Okay.
to do it, condense parts. What are the highlights? What can we talk about? And then all of us on our team, are certainly prepared to do those types of conversations as well.
Awesome. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
You
And
got it.
that was, I figured based on our email communication, but I wasn't entirely sure. But I will follow up with you for sure.
Sounds great.
Thank
And
you.
Corey, I'm seeing your note about COP and having interest. We are happy to follow up with you on that. Again, working 4 hours a week directly with the population that you all serve. So again, with all of these different programs, I think that opportunities checklist that Ashley dropped in the chat, and it's also on our website, it's also in those weekly emails, make sure you get them in. Partially because when we are doing recruitment and we see that a community partner is interested, that's when we go, aha, let me reach out to you. You're interested in COP, and I'm doing COP recruitment, that we can give you more of the details and how to submit a project proposal.
Great. Thank you so much.
You got it. What else can we answer for folks? team members, anything else that people want to lift up or highlight? Because I like try to kind of quickly go through all the stuff that we do.
I just always like to close and highlight on we're an open door policy around here. So if you don't know what to do, or if you're overwhelmed by all the info or anything else, the best and easiest thing to do is just send an email or give us a call, and we can help you from there. YJ, go for it.
Sorry, I do have a follow-up question, and I don't want to take
Oh,
up too much time, but
sure.
maybe this would be relevant to other organizations as well. We are trying to do like a program through Source, but also we are trying to establish like a partnership with an ongoing student group at campus. If so, with these processes, but they'll be working on like kind of a similar situation or similar tasks, given that it's for our team. If so, would this processes of applying for things and building partnerships and applying for programs be like a separate progress or process, or can it be combined into one?
So I will say it depends.
Okay,
I think I need to get a little bit more clarity. So
got it.
I will
Okay,
say this. Lydia Hickey, who's our assistant director, um, who actually will be leaving our team later in September. Her family has moved away. She's working with us during the transition. We are working to hire for that position. But anyway, she's still very active with ours and working full time for quite a bit. That position, that assistant director position, works with our student groups across the three health professional schools. So there's a lot that we do to organize programming and ongoing partnerships with student groups and our partners. And those tend to be separate from our particular programs. However, there are some of our programs where students in those groups are interested in applying for those projects. Or for the example of like the Source Service Scholars, there is a main student project manager that's in charge of kind of like the high level organizing, and they will often work with student groups to kind of organize some of the activities. So it can be both and, but it really depends. Like we only support the student groups on our campus, the public health, nursing, and med students, but there are student organizations at the undergraduate Homewood campus that we don't oversee, but our sister center, the Center for Social Concern, does. So maybe is probably the best I can give, YJ, without getting into more of the specifics at the moment.
no, that's absolutely okay, and I'll just make sure to write follow up with you.
Yeah, yeah, sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So we know it's a lot of information. We definitely know it's a lot of information. And that's kind of the beauty of it, is that we have so many different opportunities. If I gave you one take home, that would be whenever you have an opportunity or something that you're thinking about that you think you could utilize the support of other students, faculty, or staff, please reach out to Source. We would love to talk with you about that opportunity and see how we can turn that into something that we can utilize to recruit someone to be working with your organization. So I don't need you to memorize the difference between Baltimore Action Projects, Baltimore Community Practicum, and all these different service learning courses. Leave that to us. We will help guide you based on what you're in search of, what time of year it is. And that's the best way to be connected, as well as making sure you are completing that opportunities checklist. We really do want you to take a look at that. It gives you the opportunity to connect with some of our programs, particularly some programs where we only have a couple of projects projects that academic year. So thank you all so much for giving us your time this morning. We hope that it leads to continued connection. Some of you, we recognize names, and some of you are newer to us at your organizations, and there's other people that your organizations that we've worked with previously. So we're thrilled to have you on board, and we're looking forward to continuing to, strengthen those relationships. And we're looking forward to a very productive 26, 27 with each of you. And as we said before, please don't be shy about reaching out. We are really happy. We really love working with our partners. Many of us, it's just like deep in terms of like our passion. So let us know how we can collaborate, and hope you all have a great rest of your Tuesday. Thanks all.
Thank you.